In today's video, I'm going to be doing something completely different than I've ever done on this channel, and this is going to be letting you into my mind when I was a fearful avoidant attachment style. So I'm going to be sharing with you 8 different scenarios and how I would have or did actually react to them in that moment, so that if you are the fearful avoidant, you can know that we are relatable in so many ways and that you can break out of these patterns. And then of course, if you are the partner of the fearful avoidant, you can get into their mind, not get into their mind, but understand where they are coming from when these things are kind of going on, and maybe understand like fearful avoidants have a very hard time, and when they're in the midst of these kind of struggles, it is very real to them in that moment. So the first scenario is that when my partner was late from work, right? So whenever my partner was late from work, and this is going off the top of my head, I wrote down a list of like the 8 of them, but I'm just sharing with you off the top of my head how I'd react just thinking back, because I want it to be very real, right? So when my partner was late from work, what I would be thinking is like, what is he doing? What is going on? This is weird. Why hasn't he gave me a heads up? Like, I would jump to these worst case scenarios, and honestly, I was very suspicious in the sense of like, I thought that he could be cheating on me. Like, he could be with another person, another woman, right? And so like, if it was just like a few minutes or 20 minutes, sometimes I would be able to brush it off and be like, okay, I was just overreacting. It's fine, Marcella, just calm down, relax. But if it was like an hour and he didn't give me a call, like I would then go into panic. I'd be looking out the window. I would be checking my phone, checking my watch, just like, why hasn't he called me? And I would feel very disrespected that he hasn't gave me a heads up or thought to give me a heads up. B, feeling very triggered because I felt very suspicious, like he was doing something wrong, right? And inside of me, it was like all this panic, all this fear, like he's betraying me. Oh my gosh, like we worked so hard in this relationship and now he's chosen to betray me. I cannot believe this. And when I would see him, I would either go directly to him and say something very passive aggressive, like, you couldn't call me? Like, how freaking rude. Like, that's really thoughtful of you. And then I would disappear upstairs and just go shut myself away in the room. Or I would be very confrontational because I want to know what is going on. Like, you were acting weird. You tell me what is going on, right? And that's how I would really respond to these scenarios. Now, situation number 2 is like, when things did not align with what my partner said and what he did. So let's say a good example here is like, if my partner one day, yesterday told me he just went to work and he came home, right? And I was asking about his day and he told me, yeah, I just went to work and I came home. And that was pretty much it. And I'm like, okay, wonderful. And then the next day, he's telling somebody else, oh yeah, Tuesday I had lunch with so-and-so and it was really awesome, and then I went back to work, and this was the missing piece of the puzzle. It's like, my radar was like going up, and it's like, dude, like, why didn't you tell me that you also went to lunch with your friend? That is really weird. Why are you hiding that? What else are you hiding? Can I even trust you at this point? These are the kind of things that were going through my mind. And so I would usually go to him and I would already be feeling triggered. Like it's this unsafe feeling, like my nervous system get all worked up because I'm thinking something bad is going on. And I would go to him and be like, how come you didn't tell me you went to lunch with them? And like, he would be like, why is it such a big deal? And I'm like, because that's weird. And so just thinking back to it, it's kind of funny, but it's like, it wasn't funny in the moment. It was really real to me, and it was really scary, and I felt really fearful, and I really thought that my partner was doing something bad, even if he actually wasn't. Now, scenario number 3 is when my partner did things without me that we usually do together. This would be so triggering. So let's say something like, me and my partner always go get dog food every single Saturday. Like, we get lunch, we go get dog food. It's a thing that we do. And, he comes home one day and he's like, oh yeah, I went with my brother to go pick up some dog food. And then we came home. Like, this kind of situation would make me feel so left out, so rejected, right? Like, if we usually do this and now you're doing it with somebody else, like, basically what's going on for me is you're telling me you don't want to do this with me. Why don't you want to do this with me? Like, and I would feel hurt. Like, I would feel hurt inside. Like, this is a scenario that I would genuinely feel hurt because I felt like, you aren't doing this with me because you don't like me, because you're rejecting me, because I'm not good enough to do that with anymore. Maybe you're tired of me. I don't know. But like all these things would be going through my mind, and I would feel so rejected, and I would feel really hurt, and I'd start to feel very unsafe in the relationship and not secure in the connection, because you are now doing things with other people that we do together. It's a ritual for us, right? And that is something that would deeply affect me. Now, situation number 5 is when my partner spoke to another woman. So I just want to jump on here and let you know that I have a Fearful Avoidant blueprint located on my website. I also have a Fearful Avoidant self-paced 10-week program workbook for you to work through insecurities when it comes to your partner interacting or being around other women. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, check out the links in the description box below. I don't care if it was just, talking to them in public or making business plans or whatever that is. Like, this is something that would really, 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 really trigger me as a fearful avoidant. You see, I don't know if it's just for me or a lot of other fearful avoidants, but I know that I had a lot of negative associations to other women. Like, I seen friends cheat on their partners. I saw friends sleeping with married men. I had a friend who was really close to me, and she actually betrayed me with somebody that I was dating at the time, and it was so hard. Like, I have all these negative associations. But anyways, getting back on track, like when he would speak to another woman, like I felt so insecure. It was like this 10 out of 10 trigger. Like, I felt like, oh my gosh, he's going to think that she is better than me and he's going to leave me and go with her. Oh my goodness, he's going to see that she is good and I am bad, and then he's going to want to hook up with her and he's going to leave me. Like, it's all these insecurities, and I really believed it so much. Like, and on top of that, having a betrayal core wound as a fearful avoidant did not help at all. Like, I would feel like I'd say 20 out of 10 triggered. If I could go above the spectrum, this was something that was so real to me, and it was like so scary that it's like I felt like I was going to be abandoned, I was going to be betrayed, I was pretty much going to be discarded. And this was really what I was going through. And it's not to ever like make things okay, but like I would usually shut down and pull away from my partner, but I would be very suspicious for days on end coming. Like, I would be like wondering like if he was running late or he didn't text me. Oh, why isn't he texting me? Is he talking to that woman? Did he change numbers with her? What is going on? Did he go have lunch with her? Like, this would linger on. This thing specifically would linger on for a few days, and it would deeply affect me. And it's probably the roots of my negative associations and my fear of betrayal as a fearful avoidant. It's something that deeply affected me, and I would be like kind of like suspicious, like wondering, keeping really close tabs on my partner, but also trying to be a good girl because I don't want him to think I'm bad and then to leave me, and like reinforce this thought that was going through my brain, excuse me. And so that was really what was going on for me there. And if you can just think that like strong trigger, like ultimately think of it of like a scared child. Like, you just want to go to them and just say like, it's okay, like, and cradle them. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. There's nothing to worry about. You are safe here. Like, this is what the fearful avoidant just needs, a little bit of reassurance there. So scenario number 6 is going to be when there's any kind of pattern change in the relationship. So let's say that my partner usually gives me a call every single day when he is at work, and today he didn't call me. Well, this must mean that something is going on. And what is going on? It's funny to think back, but like it was very real in the moment. Like, you feel this trigger, like, why didn't he call me all day? And I wouldn't call him either, like the funny thing is like I could have called him, but I'm just expecting him to call me, and so he didn't call me and I'm upset, and I'm like, why didn't he call me? Like, this is weird. And so I would be like wondering like what is going on. And so by the end of the day, I would usually say something to him. Like, I would call him and be like, oh, you couldn't call me today? Like, have you been that busy? Like, what is going on? Like, I would be offended. Like, I felt disrespected. I felt uncared about, like I didn't matter. And ultimately, I also had this background sense that like, am I being betrayed? Like, or am I not good enough anymore? Why didn't he call me? It was a mixture of a couple things, right? Disrespected, feeling like I just completely didn't matter, and feeling like there's this potential of like, is he doing something else? Is he seeing somebody else? Like feeling this betrayal in the background, right? Potentially. And so when I would see him, of course, I would say a negative comment, or I would just shut down, and I'd be like, okay, this is how we're doing relationships now. And it would be this cycle, because then he'd come home and he would try to talk to me and he'd be confused. I'm like, yeah, I'd just be short with him and then just like go do my own thing and kind of shut away, because I was trying to like self-protect. I was trying to get away from him because I felt like I was unsafe, right? And so this is what happens when we are unsafe, or we feel unsafe. Sometimes we really want to avoid things. Well, scenario number 7 is going to be when he would go places on his own and didn't first tell me the plan. So it's like, imagine he was going to work, and usually he comes home, but instead he calls me at the last minute when he gets off work and is like, oh, I'm gonna stop at my mom's house. Like, and this was like something that was unplanned. Like, I didn't know that that was gonna happen. It wasn't planned, so I didn't expect it. It kind of caught me off guard. When you would drop these last minute bombs on me, I would get kind of very frustrated. I'd be like, wow, how inconsiderate. Like, he should be planning things with me. I need to know what to expect. I mean, what if like I had these plans already planned out, or like, you know, I was at home cooking dinner and I was planning this whole evening with you, and now you're just going to make these plans. Like, I felt deeply uncared about, disrespected, inconsidered, right? And it's not actually a reflection of what was going on, because, you know, having expectations can be a very hurtful thing, especially when you expect other people to mind read, which is what I was infamous for. And instead, like, we have to learn to convert these things into needs and let people know, like, hey, I was planning to cook dinner and spend the evening with you. Are you going to be home right after work? Like, these are things that you can communicate in advance, right? Or ask for clarity in advance so that you aren't expecting things and being let down. But I'm not going to go too far into that because I'm sharing scenarios here. So lastly, number 8 is going to be when my partner would ask me to do things for him. I felt very taken advantage of. I would get annoyed, but I would still say yes. I would still agree, but I would be in this background like annoyance, like, how dare him ask me for things. And I would feel like frustrated. I would feel taken advantage of, because as a fearful avoidant, like, I was already like very much caretaking all the time, doing all the laundry, cooking, like overachieving in the relationship, trying to be perfect, right? The perfect partner, show up well. And I was doing all these things and I felt like they were going unnoticed. And then on top of that, because I was doing all these things that, again, nobody was asking me to do, I was doing them. When my partner would ask me for things, I felt super triggered. Like, seriously? Like, they're gonna ask me to do another thing? Do they not see that I'm already doing XYZ? And that's where I'd feel really frustrated and really taken advantage of. And what was actually going on here is that I was not asking for any support. I was not expressing any of my needs. I wasn't saying no when I actually couldn't do things, right? Setting boundaries. I wasn't really honoring myself. So of course, I'm taking all these things on from everywhere. And then I'm feeling frustrated and taken advantage of. And how this would end is usually me blowing up the moment he tipped me over the iceberg, that last ask that really tipped me over, and I would freak out and blow up. And like, literally, like, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. And like, you're asking me for this, like, how dare you? How freaking rude. It would be nice if you would then, you know, show up for me, or you would do this for me. And, you know, he would be like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't even know all this was going on. What is her deal? And so it was really like a pattern of me not expressing my needs, me not asking for support, because I had all these fears that were holding me back. And so I'd freak out, I'd feel guilty, right? I'd feel guilty into this cycle, and then I would go back into people pleasing, doing everything everyone wanted, and then I would blow up again. And then I'd feel guilty, go back into people pleasing, and then I'd blow up again. And this was a never ending cycle until I learned a lot about boundaries and needs work and asking for my needs. So just something I would share. I hope you really enjoyed this video. This was something completely different. Subscribe to my channel if you are a fearful avoidant or want to learn more about fearful avoidant content. I am a fearful avoidant specialist, and I'm sending lots of love. God bless.